What she has is an audience ecosystem. And what I will build for her is an ascension ecosystem. And that gap is exactly what we are talking about here today. So if I had to build a coaching business for the one and only Sarah Jakes Roberts, this is exactly what I would do. Because from the outside looking in, she already has an audience. She already has the message, the training, the teaching, and the only thing missing is the right structure around this coaching business. So I spent the last 7 years as a business coach, coaching over 750 women into taking what they're already doing in the community, in their life, at work, and building a profitable coaching business around it. So when I look at someone like Sarah, I don't just look at her and what she's accomplished. I'm also looking at the assets, the trust, and the language. I'm looking at her audience behavior, ultimately looking at what she's already built that people will pay a lot of money to apply. And that matters because there's a big difference between having a powerful brand and having a transformation-based business model. So a lot of women have that first piece already together. They're inspirational, they are motivational, they have something that people want and people are drawn to. So let's start here because she's not starting from scratch. She already has books centered around growth, healing, and transformation. She already has a speaking platform that's attracting millions and millions of people every single day. She has media, she has content. She has her conference, Women Evolve, which is already positioned as a movement for women's spiritual and practical development. And she already has We School, which means there's already an educational buying pattern built around her brand. So when I look at Sarah's brand, I'm not looking at how do we make her more visible because she has the visibility on lockdown. I'm looking at how do we make this even deeper because the message is there, audience is there, and the trust is there as well. And that's the good news because that means she does not need to create more content, come up with concepts and framework because she already has them. What she has is an audience ecosystem. And what I will build for her is an ascension ecosystem. And that gap is exactly what we are talking about here today. Because what people sometimes miss when they're building a brand is that although your message might be inspirational at scale, clearly like hers is, inspiration and activation are not the same thing. What am I saying? I'm saying a conference can leave you inspired. A Sunday sermon can leave you inspired. A good book can leave you inspired. A good speaker can leave you inspired. But none of these things on their own make sure that your life actually changes. And that is where coaching is extremely powerful because the book tells you what to do, but a coaching program sets up the environment to have you actually do it. That's the gap. It's not a lack of value, it's not a lack of wisdom, and it's not a lack of demand in this case. It's simply not having structure around the transformation that her platform can create for the lives of many. See, that's what most women miss in their businesses as well. They think that the answer is a new video, more content, more video, bigger platform, and they miss the whole thing entirely. Most of the time, you don't need something new. You simply need to restructure the thing you've already been doing. So let's get specific. We are clear that there's a huge opportunity here for Sarah Jakes Roberts to build a coaching empire around what she's already doing. So let's talk specific, the offer. What I will build for her would be a 12-week transformational coaching program. And this program will be targeting women who are trying to rebuild their identity, who are trying to make aligned decisions, and who want to move with clarity. So not a course, right? Not a standalone course, nothing for $9.99 or $199. No, an actual coaching program. So it's not about more information in this case, it's creating the right container for these women. And I would definitely not overcomplicate it. I would directly pull from themes that I already found in her books and frameworks that she already has in her teaching. So themes like identity, healing, growth, direction, faith, personal evolution. Because when the message is already working, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So I'm gonna pause here because if you're watching this and you say, oh wow, Sandra, I have books, I've written books. There are things that I share that are being quoted back to me. You as well have an offer that you could leverage, repackage, and turn into a coaching program. So with this offer, what we'll do is break it down into 3 phases within her 12-week coaching program. Phase 1 will be around identity. So questions like, who am I now? What version of me am I willing to release now? What have I outgrown in this season? What do I actually want now that I'm honest with myself? Because a lot of women don't need more motivation. They need language for where they are now. And Sarah does a great job at giving language to those feelings. The phase 2 of her 12-week program will be all around alignment, because by that time, the women in her program will have clarity on who they are becoming. And so now the questions will be, what decisions need to change? Boundaries needs to be built? What relationships needs to be examined? What patterns need to stop? What does your life need to support so that your inner transformation does not stay internal, so people can actually see it? So that will be phase 2, because if your life is built around an old version of yourself, you'll keep betraying your own growth. Phase 3 will be about movement. At this phase, the women in her program will be ready to move. The theme of this year for her, I believe, is going rogue. And right, these women will be ready to go rogue, to move, to execute, to commit, to stop circling around the same revelation and start changing identity again. So let's talk about the delivery model. How will she go about sharing this with her audience? So I would make this program a pre-recorded program. The training portion, the phases we talked about and outlined, those will be pre-recorded. She records it once and she has it and uploaded in her private portal. Most of my clients are able to record their program in less than 3-5 days, okay? Usually shorter than that. And because she's an accomplished speaker, she probably can run through this in 24 hours, if not 48 hours, and have the whole program recorded. She records it once, and everybody that joins the program gets immediate access week by week of the training. Her program will also have live Q&A. This right there is the game changer. So if she's tried to do this before and it didn't quite work, it's probably because this component was missing. She can do these Q&A twice a month. She could do them once a month. She could do it weekly. And initially I will want her to do it, because the more she does the Q&A, the more she's able to hear and listen to her audience and hear where they're stumbling, what's difficult. It's giving her more information about ideas for her books, her conference, her next coaching program. So she would take maybe 2 hours out of the month to show up live for just an hour and answer questions. And because her community would probably be large, she could have people send their questions over ahead of time, select 10 to 12 that she responds to live during her Q&A. I will add to her program a private community. She could host that on her own platform, her own app. She could host it on Facebook, you name it, but a private community for women that are currently in her program. The group aspect of this is really powerful. For those of you watching that have been trying to determine whether or not you should sell one-on-one coaching versus group coaching, let me say to you that the community aspect, the community support is actually very attractive to your potential clients, to know that there are other people just like them on this journey of transformation. In terms of size, I would say 100 to 300 women maximum. The more people in the community, the more people to manage. She could hire people to help her with managing the questions and the things that may come up, the support, hey, I lost my password, that kind of stuff. She could hire very easily, very affordably people to run that part of the business for her. But I will start the first cohort with no more than 300 women. 100 to 300 will be a good number to launch this first initially, and then we can grow it and then we can scale it. Now let's talk about pricing. How much should she be charging for this level of transformation? Remember, the woman joining her program is lost, is confused, knows that there's a next level for herself, but doesn't know how to tap into that. That's priceless. Her ability for 12 weeks to work directly with Sarah Jakes Roberts and her team and go alongside these other women on this journey could be the thing that changes her life forever. So really, it's a priceless type of transformation. Now, what should we price for it? I wouldn't charge anything lower than $3,000. I would recommend that she charges $3,000 at a minimum for this program. And if you're looking at it like, Sandra, will people pay? Absolutely every single day. People are spending that kind of money on shoes and trips. And there are lots of women out there. Not everybody. See, not everybody is her audience. For the coaching business specifically, this is a very targeted group of women that have the revenue, have the income, and is looking actively right now for this type of transformation. For those women, $3,000 makes sense to help them get unstuck. Because remember, in this coaching program, she's selling transformation. Her books might be $9, $12. The Women Evolve conference might be a few $100s, but that's different. That's information. What she's selling in her coaching program is transformation, and people are willing to pay premium to be transformed. So let's talk about why I believe this will work for her. Number one, there's already trust. People already trust her. Number two, there's already language for the transformation. It's all over her books, all over her speaking, all over her conferences. And number three, there's already an audience that gathers every single week, every single month, every single day to hear her speak. So this is not about trying to convert a cold audience that has never heard about her. No, this is about converting the warm audience that's ready to go deeper and farther with her. So in terms of launch strategy, this is actually almost too easy when it comes to Sarah Jakes Roberts, right? Because she already has the perfect launch platform. She already gathers women every year in emotionally activated environments through her conference, her content, her conversations, her podcasts. And that matters because in that moment, in that room, in that space, when someone has just been awakened, stretched, convicted, seen, this is usually the exact moment that they are the most ready to change. So instead of letting those experiences end with inspiration, she'll be giving them the next step. And so not just, I hope this bless you today, but she'll be able to say, if you're ready to apply this to your life, here's the container for you. And that's the bridge. And most of the time, the most influential women that I know never build that bridge. They stop at the moment of impact instead of building that next step. Now, let's talk about what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't create another random course for her. I wouldn't try to make it cheap so it's accessible to everybody. She already has a lot of affordable options and books and things and free content and all the things, right, for people. So I wouldn't make this another low entry offer. And I wouldn't scale it too quickly. I'll wait to have enough depth so that we can learn from mistakes, we can refine the process before really scaling it. Because one of the fastest way to weaken a brand is to overpackage the information without protecting the transformation. And we don't want to do that. What we'll want is gather receipts, proof from people that went through the program, tangible proof of how their lives have been improved and changed and how they've applied the principle they learned in the program in their real life. Now, let's talk about some objections, right? So if you're watching this and you're like, but I got some questions, and let's walk through them. People might say, listen, time, she's busy. She doesn't need another thing to do. And I actually agree. She does not need more to do. But if this is something she wants to do, she needs to restructure what already exists. So this is not about adding random work. This is about turning existing trust into a deeper transformation path. The second objection is ministry versus selling. So Sarah Roberts is a pastor. She's a minister of the gospel. And so when people hear calling, that you have a calling on your life, you're walking in faith, you are serving the people, when we include money and $3,000 in a coaching program and we attach it to it, it makes people uncomfortable sometimes. And people start saying things like, oh, she's selling her message. But here's the deal. She wouldn't be selling her message. Her message, you can have it for free all over YouTube, and you could attend her church and listen to her message for free. What she will be selling is the structure, the container that helps people apply her message. The message can bless the masses and already is, but the container can walk a committed group of people through the work. That's what this is. The third objection is perception. How will people perceive this? How would this read? What does it do to the brand? Because a lot of the time people like you to be inspirational, they like you to be visible, and they like you to be accessible. But when you become structured, when you become premium about what you do, when you become clear about the value of the transformation you provide, that forces people to confront what they really believe about women getting paid for their wisdom. And that is exactly why so many women are under monetized. Not because they lack value, but because they're being trained to feel more comfortable being impactful than being well paid. So here's the bigger truth I want you to sit with. The reason why most influential women will never build a coaching business is not because they lack the audience. It's not because they're not smart, clearly. And it's not because they lack something to say. It's because they've mastered inspiration, but never structure transformation. And once you understand this, you start seeing it everywhere. You can't unsee it. And I'm going to pause here and say this. The level of transformation that Sarah Jakes Roberts can provide to the world is incredible. She already is. But imagine being able to be in a Q&A session with her and ask her, tell me exactly how you went from that little girl to being able to build what you've built. Imagine having her being able to live during a session help you stop hiding in plain sight. That level of transformation, imagine the ripple effect that will be. Imagine her being able to train other coaches in her framework and what that will be. Tony Robbins does it. Imagine her having that, how that could multiply her impact. Now, if you're watching this and thinking to yourself, yeah, but that's her. You know, I'm not her. She has books. She has an audience. She has built-in trust. I want you to be aware that this is not where you start. For no one. Where it starts for everyone is exactly where you are. It starts with people already coming to you right now, asking you for advice and guidance. You too have influence. You too have people that care about what you have to say, so much so that they come to you not one time, not twice, not 3 times, asking you for guidance. And so the question becomes, to you watching right now, are you going to keep calling it just helping people, or are you finally going to put some structure around it? So that's exactly what I help my clients do in my 90 Days to CEO coaching program, because you may be closer than you think you are. So simply click on the link below this video and apply so we can help you map out your next steps to building your own coaching empire. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.